This is the brand new Shure SLXD portable wireless system. This is the receiver right here and is completely battery powered wireless receiver. You can use this with the standard SLXD microphone transmitter or with the SLXD body pack transmitter to use with either a guitar or an instrument or a lav or headset mic. And you can also use it with the new SLXD3 clip-on XLR transmitter. This is a great multi-use portable wireless system, whether you plan to use it with a camera or in the way that I've been using it mostly as a portable wireless system for vocals, guitar, bass, stuff like that, or even for a PA system. It can run off of batteries or it can be powered with USB-C as well. I've been using this system for about the last month now at quite a few of my shows. Ever since I saw this at NAMM 2024, I've been stoked about a portable Shure wireless system, and this system has worked out great for me at all my shows that I've brought it to. Many thanks to Shure for sending this over for me to check out for the channel. Just as always, all the opinions in this video are my own. I will say that the Shure SLXD system is the main wireless system that I use, and that is the main system that I recommend to people when they're interested in getting a professional wireless system. And now I'm really stoked that there is a portable option to go with it as well. Anyway, that is enough of the intro. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and let's go ahead and get started. So there are three different versions that you can get. You can get the version with the body pack with a lavalier mic, or you can get the version with the clip-on XLR transmitter. You also can buy the receiver individually or with one of the Shure SLXD handheld microphones like the SM58 or any of the different mics that it has. So for the one with the body pack, you get the receiver, and then you get this body pack transmitter and quite a few different cables that you get as well for different arrangements that you might need. You get this 3.5 millimeter cable for connecting to a camera, for example. It is very nice that it has the screw here at the top so that it doesn't accidentally become unplugged. You also get this cold shoe mount so that you can attach it to your camera like this, which is very nice that it's included. You also get a 3.5 millimeter to XLR cable if you need as well. I did use this recently for one of my shows when I used a wireless microphone into my mixer, and it worked great. And in this case, you also get the lav mic that comes with it. This one is the WL185, but of course you can always use a different lav mic with it if you want. But that'll attach to the body pack. You also have different wind screens for it. So here's the bigger one, but you also get a smaller one if you prefer. And you also have this clip here, which works really well. You open it, slide it in here on the back, and now it stays in very well, and you can clip it to a shirt or a lapel or wherever you're trying to connect it to. And it stays on really well. When I try to pull on it, it does not come off. The only thing that's not included is if you do plan to use this for guitar, you do have to get this cable separately. I do prefer this one personally because it's right angle and it screws in on the body pack. I'll be sure to link to this cable down below if you need one of these. If you get the version that has the XLR adapter, you also get the receiver and the XLR adapter, and it does have this case to hold it if you prefer that, and it has this clip here, which is also nice. You also get the mount to attach the receiver to a camera. You get the 3.5 millimeter TRS connector, the 3.5 millimeter to XLR connector, and two of the cases. But yeah, basically everything else is the same. And this is also what you get if you get it with one of the handheld mics as well. And then not included, but I do recommend getting these batteries that are specific to the SLXD system. I bought these for all of my Shure SLXD systems. It is great because it'll give you a battery reading, and you can charge them with USB-C as well, which is great. And I'll be sure to link to those down below. But if you don't have them, of course, it also runs off of 2 AA batteries. So let's go over some of the controls and the menu options that you have, starting with the receiver first. So up here on the top, you have two different outputs. You have a 3.5 millimeter TRS output as your main output. And you also have a headphone output as well, which is nice for monitoring. And that's definitely going to come into play when I go over multi-mic mode later. So to access the menu, push the enter button, and you can see there's 7 different menus that you can get into, and you scroll through them using the arrow buttons. So this one's about frequency, this one's about audio, this one's about the name, devices, and so on and so forth. So let's go to the first one, and we're going to do a scan, which is one of the most important things. So under frequency, push enter, and then you have a couple of options. You can do a manual setup, so you can set this manually to the exact group and channel that you want or the exact frequency that you want. But most of the time, it makes sense to do a group scan. If you aren't familiar with the difference between groups and channels, I do have a video going over that, which is definitely very helpful if you're unfamiliar with those terms. Well, let's go ahead and do a group scan. Now it's scanning. And it came back and it's telling me that in group 1, there are 31 channels available. That's quite a bit. That's probably a good one to use. I can change it so you can see group 20 has 14 channels. Group 2 has 30 channels. Group 3 has 30 channels. I'm just going to choose this first one, group 1. I'm going to hit enter and it's saved and it's telling me to now sync the transmitter with the infrared. So you have this sync button over here as well as the infrared port. So I'm going to push the sync button and align with the XLR transmitter. And you can see they are now transmitting on the same channel. And again, this is also why I really like those specific SLXD batteries, because I get an indicator of how much battery life is left in my transmitter as well as in my receiver. So speaking of, on the main screen, you can see the name of the device, which I'll name later, as well as the frequency that I'm on. You do get the battery life. If you use just standard AA batteries, you'll see it just in bars as opposed to the exact readings. I do see the RF signal strength, so I have a very strong signal. And I also have an audio meter over here as well, which is important to watch. So as I tap onto the microphone, you can see that the audio is not clipping or anything like that. Might be a hair quiet, but I'll adjust that here in a little bit. But it's very nice that you have all of this information on here. So let's push enter, scroll down to the second menu. This is about audio out. So I can change the audio output. So right now it's set to -8 decibels. It goes all the way down to -18 decibels and goes all the way up to +42 decibels, which is very loud. But I'm going to set this just back to unity. And then you do also get an option for mono output or dual mono outputs. I also can adjust the headphone out. So this is just with the buttons. And there is an easier way to do this, and I'll show you here later, but this will be the volume of the headphone output. You also can set the output to mic or line level. If you're not familiar with the difference between those, I do also have a video going over the difference between mic, line, and instrument levels, but you can set it accordingly here. Next up, on menu 3 out of 7, we can change the name of the system. So let me just quickly rename this to Scott 1, and now it is saved as Scott 1. Definitely helpful if you have multiple systems. Next up in menu 4, you have device settings. So first of all, you have a way to lock the device. So you can either lock just the menu or menu and power. This is pretty cool. If you lock the menu and power, even flipping the switch will not turn the device off. That can be helpful if you never want someone to accidentally bump it and turn the device off. You also can save all of your settings and save it as a preset. So if I'm happy with where all my settings are, I can go here to save preset, give it a name. I'll just call it what it is right now. It'll save all of my settings, and if I ever want to reload from this preset, I would go down here to Restore from Preset. The system will reboot and will have all of the settings that I have saved on the receiver. As of right now, it does look like you can only save one preset. It would be nice if you could save a couple of them, like one for like a wireless mic, one for a lavalier, and then one for a guitar. But just the fact that it gives you one is already nice. Maybe sometime in the future, they'll do a firmware update or something. You can save multiple ones. You can see some information about the battery. Buttons control, this is really nice. So it allows the control of the audio levels using the up and down buttons from the home screen. Remember how I said it's easier to adjust the headphone out than having to go into the menu? This is where you would do it. So push enter. What do you want the up and down arrows to turn up and down? The audio out or the headphone out? So I can set this to the audio out, for example. You can set it to headphone out if you would prefer that as well. But now when I push this button, you can see I'm adjusting the audio output. I don't have to go into a sub menu. I can just control it from the buttons. That's a really nice touch. I'm actually going to leave that on. You can also set how long you want for the screen to time out. So it'll turn off if you don't have activity after a certain amount of time, 30 seconds up to 5 minutes. Next up, we have tone generator. So this can be very useful. So you can turn it on and set it to a certain decibel level. And this can be helpful to ensure that the receiver audio output is routed to the correct input. You don't have to turn on your transmitter and do check, check, check or something like that. You can turn on the tone generator so you can make sure it's routed properly. It's also helpful because you can set the appropriate audio level without needing to turn on the transmitter as well. You also get a little bit more info in about, and that's basically it under the device settings. Next up, we have the transmitter settings. So these are the settings that will apply to the transmitters. So you can see when you sync the transmitters to apply these presets, what you can do is when you do a sync, what would you like to send to the transmitter? So for example, if I go down here to pad/boost, which this is only available on the plug-on transmitter, and it lets you know that. Actually, let me go ahead and change it. Let's do mic offset. So on the handheld or on a body pack or on a plug-on receiver, do I want to send any of the mic offset changes? So on the handheld, I always want to set the mic offset to 0, for example. Now, every time I do a sync to a handheld microphone, it will always update the transmitter to have the mic offset set to 0 decibels, which is very cool. On the body pack, I could always set it to not change, just whatever the body pack is set to. I don't want to change any of that. Or I could say I want to set it to +9 decibels, for example. So that can definitely be very, very helpful for when you're syncing. I personally like them on no change for everything. I just like being in control of that on the transmitters itself, but this is definitely a very helpful option, especially if you're using multiple ones. When you have all of these different things that you can send to the transmitter, which will make more sense once we go over the transmitter section of the video. You can also use this to update the firmware on the transmitters as well. And it does do the firmware update over infrared. Scrolling down, the next one is multi-mic mode, which I'm going to do a separate section on, so I'll get to that here in a little bit. And then you also have this help menu if you do need more help, and it's nice it gives you a QR code so you can scan it and get to the website that you need to find information on. And that's basically it on the receiver, except for multi-mic mode, which again I'll go over here in a little bit, but let's go over the transmitters. For the transmitters, I'm going to start with the XLR transmitter, just because there's a couple more settings in here, but I'll show you the body pack as well. So you turn on the transmitter with this switch down here on the bottom. It's very much out of the way, so it's not easy to bump, which is great. And then you plug it into your microphone, and it's really nice because it has this twist right here, so you can have it unlocked and switch it to locked. And now it's definitely not going to become unplugged accidentally. But even when you switch it to the unlocked position, you still can't really take it off. You have to pull down right here to disconnect it. It's very nice that it won't accidentally get unplugged. But going through some of the different options in here, you have mic offset, so it can be set to 0 all the way up to plus 21 decibels. So if you want to change this XLR transmitter to be at plus 6 decibels, for example, you can. I'm going to leave it at 0 personally. Next option, you have RF power. You have 1 milliwatt, 10 milliwatts, or even up to 30 milliwatts of power. That's pretty awesome. If you're not familiar with that, that is the strength of the wireless RF signal. Don't just set it to the max because that can cause other wireless to have problems. If you're not going very far away, setting it at 1 is normally completely fine. If you're going a little bit further away, set it to 10. If you're going really far, set it to 30. You do have a high pass filter on here. I have it set to on since I'm going to use this mostly for vocals or speech. You also have information about battery. Auto lock, just in the same way with the receiver. Would you like to lock the menu and the power, or just the menu? It is pretty hard to bump that power switch, but it is a nice failsafe. You do also get phantom power on this, so you can turn it on either 12 volts of phantom power or 48 volts of phantom power. Of course, if you use phantom power, it will use up more battery quickly, so just keep that in mind. But the option is there, which is great. You also do have a pad or a boost, so you can either set this to boost at 12 decibels, pad at minus 12 decibels, or just off and be at unity. Very nice that you also have that as an option as well. And last but not least, you also get just information on the about screen. And if you do use the SB903 batteries, you can leave the battery in and you can charge it via USB-C, which is great. You can see that it's charging. However, also keep in mind, I'm going to take the battery completely out, and you can see I can still use this with USB-C power without the battery in there. And that's true on the body pack as well as on the receiver as well. So you can have just power go forever via USB-C. Very cool. On the body pack, it's basically almost all the same menus. You have just a menu and enter button over here. Basically everything that we went over on the transmitters on here except for a few things. I'll hit the menu button. You have the mic offset here. You have RF power. On this one, you just get low or high. Remember to set it accordingly. Higher is not always better. I also have a high pass filter option, which I'm going to leave off because I often use this for my guitar. Information about the battery. Same thing with the locking. Same thing with the locking types and the about info. Same thing that we just went over. Although this one is really nice because you do have the optional SBC 203, which is a way to charge the transmitter. You don't have to take out the battery at all. It just charges in here. The body pack does not charge over USB-C. So if you do get one of those, you either can get the individual charger for the battery, or you can get this, which is really nice because I can also fit a microphone in here as well. This is the way that I charge my SLXD when I'm done at a gig. This thing's very convenient. And you can also take out the battery and you can also just set it in here and charge that way as well. I do recommend that. I'll leave links down below if you're interested in checking that out. And last but not least, we have multi-mic mode. So this graph here really shows a lot of what multi-mic mode is able to do, but let me walk you through the steps so that you can see the value of it. So I'm going to go into multi-mic mode, and the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to hit create list. So I'm going to go down to create list, hit enter. It's going to scan, basically do a group scan like we did earlier, and it's going to find the best channels and groups. And again, I can change the group if I want, but I'm just going to go with the first one that I found. Go ahead and hit next. And now how many wireless systems are you going to be using? Let's say, for example, I'm going to use one of the XLR transmitters, one of the body packs, and then even one of the SLXD microphones. In this case, I'm going to say I'm going to create 3, and I'm going to hit create. You can see that it is saved. And now I'm going to go up to enter the mode/list. And you can see that these are the 3 best frequencies that it found in that group. I can also add another frequency manually if I would like. What I'm going to do is I'm also going to name all of these. So in this first one, I'm going to hit enter. You can also change the gain or delete it if you would like, but I'm going to rename this one. And I'm going to name this Mike. And you can see it's now named Mike. And if I back out, if I leave it on this one, it's going to blink back and forth between the frequency and the name Mike. I'm going to do the same thing on the second one. I'm going to call this the lav for the lav mic. And for the third one, I'm just going to name this Scott. And that's going to be for my handheld microphone. So you can see I have 3 frequencies found, the clearest channels because I did a scan, and I've renamed them. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to back out and I want to share this list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this to another SLXD portable receiver. So I'm going to put this one right next to it, align the sync ports, and push the sync button. You can see it says success. And now on this receiver, if I go into multi-mic mode and enter the list, you can see I have the exact same information, same frequencies, and all the same names. So now, if I send it to all my receivers, all the receivers can sync their transmitters to the proper channel, or I can actually just use this one receiver and sync all of these. So for the mic, I'm going to sync that one to the XLR adapter. So I'm going to go to mic, hit sync, align the IR ports, and you can see it is now set to that frequency. Next one's on the lav mic. I'm going to set that to the body pack. So align the frequency ports, hit sync, and you can see it's sent over the frequency as well as the name. So you can see that it's sending over the name and the frequency to my transmitters. And last but not least, for the third one, I'm going to send that to my handheld mic, put it to the Scott frequency, hit sync, align the ports, and now it is set the frequency as well as the name. Really nice that I can do that all from one receiver. And again, if I share this with another receiver, I can sync any of the transmitters because we're all on the same list, which is very cool. So now what I can do is I can be in multi-mic mode, and I could, for example, monitor each of the different channels by switching to them very easily. And just so I can demo to you how this works, I'm just going to do this with just 2. I have the XLR transmitter plugged in to a direct box that is connected to this phone, and then I have the body pack that's connected to my iPad over here. The iPhone is going to play a drum track, and it is set to frequency 1, and the iPad is going to be playing a backing track, and it is set to frequency 2. But what you're going to see is as I switch between them, you're going to be able to hear that I'm able to monitor or switch to either of the frequencies from this pack, and I can switch between them very quickly, which is great. So again, you'll hear the drums in the one that's labeled mic, you'll hear the backing track in the one that's labeled lav, and you'll hear nothing in the third one because I don't have that currently connected to anything. Here you go. So that's a pretty cool feature to be able to switch between those really quickly if you need to. So as far as pricing, the pack with the body pack is $699. The one with the XLR plug-on transmitter is $729. And then if you get it with one of the microphones, for example, the SM58 is $649. You also can just get the receiver by itself for $379. And don't forget, if you need that cable for switching it to a guitar, the one I recommend is the WA307, which is around $35. There are a couple of really nice accessories that you can get with this. You can get a water-resistant cover for the receiver for about $35. You also have a DC battery eliminator, and that's $79. And again, I do recommend getting that battery, the SB903, which is $45 a battery. And they do have different charging stations, either a single, a dual, or an 8-bay charging station as well. The links for all of that and all the different combinations and accessories will be available down below in the description so you can get the correct system that's right for you. So some of the great features that the system has is it has antenna diversity because it has the 2 different antennas. Basically what that means is that if the signal gets lost to one of the antennas, the other antenna is there to pick it up. So it's much more reliable than just a single antenna system. I do like that you're able to bend and change the wireless position as well. So if you saw that video where I put it on top of my rack, normally what I'd have to do is I'd have to have the antennas sitting down like this. And this isn't actually what you want to do because the antennas actually get signaled this way. I wanted them to be sitting up because I was over here on the stage. So now it's getting the signal this way. I like that it's able to bend, as well as the fact that you have two antennas for frequency diversity. I also love that this is a digital portable wireless system. I just released a video recently on the difference between analog versus digital wireless. I do highly recommend watching that video because there's a lot of misconceptions about what digital wireless means. Digital is actually a much better option for finding a clear wireless signal than an analog system. Again, I do recommend checking out my video. And it also has 44 megahertz of tuning bandwidth. What that basically means is the width of frequencies that it has to find a clear signal. The more frequencies that you have to find a clear signal, the better. So this has 44. Usually what I recommend to people is if you want a professional wireless system, 40 or more is usually a good option. As far as my experience using this over the last month, it's been really great in all the different ways that I've used it. I used actually the Shure SLX analog system when that was around, and I switched over to the digital system a while ago, and then I actually switched over to the SLXD dual system because the rack mount version does have a dual system option. One of them is for my vocals and the other one is for my guitar. It's worked really well for me. The thing is that's really cool about this system is that I've been able to use it in situations where I didn't want to bring the rack or I didn't need to bring the rack. So I used it at a couple of shows where I was just playing guitar. I didn't have to do any vocals, probably for the best. I'm not a great singer anyways. This was my wireless that I used for that show. This is so easy to just pack up and put in my guitar case. So I used it a few times with the body pack for my guitar, but I also used it for a wireless microphone as well at a show where I just needed one more wireless microphone. I didn't need a wireless guitar system. I just needed a wireless mic. And so that's why I used this system for that show. I did also use the SLXD3, the plug-on transmitter. I used that twice actually. Speaking of stuff that I saw at NAMM 2024, there was also the WizAx. This is a really cool thing that clips onto your guitar, and then there's a microphone that attaches to it, and you can either have an XLR cable output, but of course I'm going to want to do this wirelessly. They sent that to me to check out. It's like a prototype thing, and I did two different shows with that, one electric and one acoustic, and the SLXD transmitter fit perfectly with that system. Just as a side note, I will be doing a video on that system. I was trying out the prototype, but I will be trying out more, and I'll do a video on that later. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see it. But they are currently running a deal where you can get 50% off if you pre-order it, and I will leave links down below in the description if you are interested in checking that out for yourself. And the SLXD paired perfectly with it, and that's also how I used it when I used it as a wireless for our PA system. I used the transmitter out of our mixer, but then I used this to our PA system, and it worked out awesome. And it's great that it is a digital system with antenna diversity for even more stability. I am also quite blessed that I often get to travel, usually with my wife, sometimes just the two of us, sometimes with the band, but we get to play in cool places like Cancun and the Bahamas and stuff like that. And I do bring our mics and our wireless gear and stuff like that with us. And this is now going to be the wireless that I'm going to bring for those different shows. It's so easy to pack this up and bring it with me. And also when I go to NAMM next time, I'm definitely going to bring this to use as my wireless for when I do interviews with anybody, or if I do any interviews going forward as well. And then one other thing is that when wedding season comes up, this is going to be perfect to use, as a wireless for the officiant to have a headset mic for running the sound for the ceremony. There's so many different ways I can use this for guitar, for vocals, for when I do interviews, for when I'm doing weddings, or for when I'm doing it for a PA system. That's what I really like about this system, and I'm truly grateful that Shure sent this over for me to check out. I'm going to continue to use it. I'm actually going to be using it at my show tonight. So it's a fantastic option if you need a portable wireless system. If you are interested in purchasing this for yourself, there are purchase links down below so that you can check this out, and I'll be sure to link to all the different configurations that I went over in the channel. So if you guys did find this video helpful, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button and feed the YouTube algorithm gods. If you are interested in checking out my video that I have on the SLXD as the rack mount version, you can check out my video. And if you are interested in the Holy Grail wireless, the top wireless system that's used by Justin Timberlake, the Super Bowl and stuff like that, you can check out my video on the Shure Accent digital system. You can check out both of those videos by clicking the links on your screen now. Thank you guys again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.